Very well, thank you. Sorry, I about about the delay, about the tardiness.
It's all good, man. I know you just had one today, so I knew it was brave expecting you to go two in a day.
Yeah, I did originally, but I thought I thought we had more of a traction like later on the week at
Yeah, yeah,
at the night time.
yeah. I'd probably agree, but yeah, when I saw it on Meetup, I was like, oh yeah, I could join that. So yeah, we could do one on Thursday or Friday night as well if you want.
Yeah, and it seems like hopefully old mate can join. I just saw that thing like I was like, man, well, like, what time does he finish on like Tuesday? Like, what other night is good for him?
Who's
I
that?
was gonna reply to that. BB,
Oh,
he
yeah.
was saying he starts like basketball or something at 7
Yeah,
on Tuesday. Whereas, like, man, oh, you know,
yeah, because he's
we could start it a bit later.
'cause he's got some pretty cool insights, on that thread. I quite like reading his posts.
Yeah, he's he's got a lot of time and he's very knowledgeable for sure.
Mm.
Oh, I mean, he's very generous with his time. Like I'm very thankful for how much how much he's helped me with the BTC pay server.
Ah, yeah.
But yeah, his posts are real good too. Has a really good
Yeah,
quality insight.
yeah, I love that one he said today about what is money. That was, yeah, that stuff was gold, eh?
Did I just miss that?
It
So
was
like,
only recent. It was only a little while ago.
oh
I
yeah,
asked him if he was on at 7.
just there, yeah. Would you? Shall mm,
Pretty, yeah, because what did he say? He said, ask yourself what is money. If you don't have an answer, go get one. In this moment in history, it's crucially important. The TLDR is that it should be scarce, divisible, durable, fungible, portable, and verifiable. The history of money shows us that the absence of one of these properties produces weakness and eventually death to a money. Societies converge on the best money every time. Every one of these quote unquote interesting projects is flawed from first principles. Utility doesn't matter. If it can't beat Bitcoin as money, it will trend to zero, full stop. If you love the idea of building payment technology and fintech innovation, build it on Bitcoin or your company will not survive. And that's just beautiful.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, because it was cool last Friday when those Australians jumped on. And also that other guy was on first and was talking about he was pretty onto it as well, and that was pretty cool.
yeah. We had some Americans today.
Oh yeah.
Well, one dude was like from New Zealand, like he had a New Zealand accent, but he was in America at the minute. And then another dude from Florida joined.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and before that, yeah, it was another Kiwi dude. It was a dude from the group.
Yeah.
Um, I forget his name, but yeah, I hopefully will meet him soon. And
Oh,
he was
sweet.
very onto it. He was very cool.
So what do you do for do you have a fiat job?
Um, mm, no, a job's like just over broke, right? That's what the act. So yeah, I don't work for someone else because that would be the other thing. Is like you're working for someone else. You're only getting paid just as much as like they're not going to pay you any more than they have to. Like they want you. Then they need you to come back after the weekend. Kind of thing is the way that I think about it. Um,
Yeah.
nah, yeah, no. I kind of just do my own thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have
I,
a
I,
family
I
or anything?
sorry.
Do you have a family at home or?
No. No. I'm just. Yeah. I used to travel a bit, but I haven't for a while. And I would like to get a yacht. I'm very keen on sailing.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, I'd like to get a big yacht, and like go to Fiji for winter time.
Heck yeah.
But I am trying to work on like a Bitcoin job kind of thing, Bitcoin work.
Yep.
Um, Mainly with like just helping businesses. And other than that, like I'm very interested in energy, like just trying to suss out some kind of energy source.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, at the moment, I'm contacting businesses. Like today I contacted FPOS companies and stuff. Like
Yeah.
POS systems, and just had a little talk to them. But I think it would be quite easy, as in most of the tills now, the cash registers, they're just like Android tablets. So I can just like iframe in a button, or have iframe in the calculator, the numeric pad, to put it into Bitcoin, or yeah, like have a button that just brings up that kind of keypad. I think
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it should be quite easy. I'm quite confident to be able to, if I have a look. I haven't done it yet, but I think I can figure it out.
Yeah, I reckon because we started setting up this thing for the meetup, and we're using LN Pay, and to start off with, we're just using like it's just custodial, like we're using their node, but it looks quite easy to just point it to our nodes.
Yeah,
So we might try that soon, and then like I was saying to the guys, when we do that, we're effectively running our own payment network.
yeah, man.
Um, and it's super easy then to just roll out other merchants onto it, either setting them up custodially with LN Pay separately, or you can set them up if they want to go the whole hog and put their own node in, or we can, host them on our node basically. Like there'd be multiple ways of doing it. So we're kind of using that LN Pay system at our meetup as a bit of a vehicle and a
Yeah,
bit
man.
of a practice to see how it goes.
That's the one. But if it's like TradeMe, they have their own node. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I spoke to this guy on the weekend. I randomly stopped at this business that I'd found online that once upon a time accepted Bitcoin. And I stopped in there and just asked about it. And the owner came out and he was yarning to me about Bitcoin. And he was a super early Bitcoiner. Like, he was
Yeah.
really into it like 2013.
Cool.
And he'd lost a bit of he'd kind of become a bit disillusioned because he was all into it when it was all on chain and it was quite fast. And then as it scaled up a bit and that got a bit clunky and a bit slow and expensive, he lost interest a bit. And so,
Mm.
and I asked him if he knew about Lightning, and he said he'd heard of it, but didn't really know it or understand it. And so I sort of I got his details, and we've had a couple of messages since then, and I've just been filling him in on the Lightning network a bit. And I'm hoping maybe soon I'll be able to convince him and get him to give it a crack and accept Bitcoin again.
Yeah, very cool. That's sweet.
And I reckon that because we've got that meet up at the Fork and Brewer, the emails for the Fork and Brewer guy seem promising. He seems quite intrigued by it all. He doesn't really understand it, but he's very open to it. And he's sort of got this attitude, oh, well, it's just, he doesn't really know about it yet, but he's like, oh, it's just another currency. I guess we'll have to accept it at some point in the future. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
yeah. So when I get in there and meet him properly, hopefully, I was supposed to go yesterday, but I couldn't get to work. But hopefully Monday, I think, I'll have a good chat to him ahead of the meetup. Maybe by the time we go to the second meetup, we can get him accepting Bitcoin over the bar.
Yeah, man. It's the one. It is. It is the way of the future.
Heck yeah. And yeah, it's so cool talking to people like this, because it's so early. Like, and like they'll get a bit of a buzz if they feel like they're ahead of the game.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to ask. So, is there there's problems with liquidity? That's the problem with running the node, right? You have to manage the liquidity.
Yeah.
What happens if you run the liquidity out?
I don't exactly know, but I guess the transactions would just start failing, is my assumption. Yeah, but that is the thing, and that's why we decided for the meetup, because we just want to make sure it works and it's quite smooth and good. So that's why we went custodial first. We want time to practice using that, and then practice having having our channels like with good liquidity going back and forth before we are confident enough to roll it out and know that we're going to be able to manage that. Yeah, but that is my understanding, is if your liquidity goes down, then I assume your transactions just would fail.
You can handle it for the meetup.
Yeah, we could. I guess, yeah, maybe if we're a bit braver and a bit more prepared.
Yeah, because I mean, what, you're expecting 20 people or something like that. So the amount of people buying drinks at the same time is gonna be you can re-simulate that by yourself.
Yeah, I mean,
you're only gonna need one bartender.
Yeah, the problem we'd have is that all the transactions will be going one way. So whatever that total is, we've got to be able to have it all at one end to go the other way. We'd have something coming back at the end, but
you can do that easy.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, I guess we're just trying to eliminate risk, baby steps.
Be like, sorry, mate, no $100 bottles of champagne tonight, guys. I mean, if you do, just give us a warning, you know.
Yeah, and the LN Pay has got, when you first create your wallet from that, if you're using their node, they've got a transaction limit of 10,000 sats, which is pretty small. But I messaged them on their Telegram group, and they just increased it to 50,000 for us. So that was pretty sweet. Because I think we'll probably set the drink price at about 20 or 25,000 sats. So we'll slightly subsidise it for the average cost of a drink to try and encourage people to do it. And then we're thinking, obviously this is dependent on what the value of Bitcoin is in 6 weeks' time. If it changes drastically, we'll change our numbers. But when we give away the sats to someone at the end, we'll have a maximum of 1 million sats, is what we're thinking. So that's sort of about 50 drinks, I guess, if we set it at 20,000. So we're going to write into the code.
1 million sats.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's how we'll do it. So if it was, say, 20,000, yeah, and we've written so we got Kiwi Lamb has helped us. He's kind of helped us, nursed us through it and done the setup, and he's built a web page that it links to, and will be up on the screen, and it's like the Satoshi giveaway sort of thing. And every time someone scans the code and buys a drink, the number goes up live on the screen by that much, and you can see the running total. So it's going to be pretty cool, I think. And then we haven't figured out how to give it away yet, how exactly we're going to do that. If people put their name in a hat or something, we'll come up with some interesting way of doing it at the end, where we'll draw a name out and then they can come up and click receive, and we'll send them the 1 million sats.
Yeah. I am thinking you do a mining simulation.
Yeah, what do you mean?
I've seen this game done before, which is a mining simulation game. You've got you can adjust the difficulty depending on how many people there are, kind of thing, and you just have a sequence of numbers, and you've got to guess the numbers. Everyone Like everyone has a go guessing the numbers, and the person that gets the number right gets the block reward.
That's a pretty cool idea, eh?
Yeah.
Pretty cool, because it's a nice little gimmick along
Yeah,
with Bitcoin mining.
yeah, and it really kind of explains. It kind of helps gives them a bit of a picture on like what Bitcoin is, as well as I'm not so sure if you've heard about it yet, but the stack chain.
Yeah, I have. I have seen a bit about that.
Yeah, so that's kind of given me quite a good mental picture about like, oh, okay, yeah, that's how it works, you know.
Yeah.
Which I thought was quite cool. So yeah, just little games like that game. I think it's a cool game. I think I've seen another one around it too, but yeah, the one that I first came to mind is D plus plus. She's got one about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so she's the one to talk to.
D plus plus. Is that a
Yeah,
Twitter?
you don't know her?
Nah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
D plus plus.
Um. Oh, I thought I should have been inviting people to this as well. Send invite by DM. It's not too late. Um. Maybe should just see if D plus plus wants to join.
All right. Petty Command.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I just found them on Twitter.
You just found her?
No, I just saw. Well, I just saw your. Oh no, hang on. No, I'm on the wrong track. Somebody on the Telegram thread has quoted your Twitter space and said, "Yo, I thought that must be who you're talking about, but it's not. It's completely different."
Oh yeah. I haven't seen the message. I heard it, but
I don't know why they're saying, "Yo." I mean, we're right here. Jump in.
yeah. Oh, Perry. Yeah.
But no, D plus plus. Don't know that. Don't know who that is.
Well, yeah, I've got her profile here. I could put it in. Yeah, put it in the Telegram. I'll message you in Telegram her profile. Or can I put it in the nest? Something they talk about. I think you just posted, eh? Yeah, I don't want to post your profile.
Yeah. Oh, okay. D plus plus. All right, I'll follow here.
But yeah, I'm just Bitcoin Ball presents. Yeah, I mean, I'm just having a look on her profile to see if I can find anything about this game that she made.
Oh, Bitcoin Ball.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't think it's necessarily that. Maybe. But should probably just send her a DM.
I'm just going down her feed. She's done some cool stuff. She created stickers of Hal Finney's running Bitcoin tweet from 2009. That's quite cool.
Yeah, bro, she's a boss.
Yeah, no one else has jumped in. I wonder if we did hit a sweet spot on Friday night.
Yeah, that's what I think. Oh, we have John, Mr. John Chatsworth.
Yeah,
Would you like to speak, please? Tell us what you like about Bitcoin.
just a listener.
Yeah, we're wondering about a video game kind of thing, about something that helps portray the mining of a block to give away a bar tab. Yeah.
Right, can you hear me now? Sweet.
Yeah, bro, we can hear you.
So I'm one other part of the equation of BitKiwi.
Oh, nice.
But not nearly as knowledgeable as Paul.
Oh, yeah. Don't say that about. Don't doubt yourself.
No, he's much more well read than me.
Well, in certain aspects, you know, like there's something else that you'll be more knowledgeable than him.
How to buy the highs? No, sorry.
James had an idea. We were talking about giving away the Satoshis at the meetup, and he was saying you can generate like a little mining simulation game where people try and get the answer to a problem, and whoever lands on it first wins, which is quite a cool idea.
That is.
Yeah, like James, how would that work? Is there like a program you'd run, or would it be quite manual, as in people just like playing bingo?
Yeah, I played it with her, like, you know, she did it live for us, like, you know, she does that thing. I think she might have a program about it, eh? I don't know.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought. We've still got 5-6 weeks before the meetup, so we have got time to suss out something cool as long as it's not too complete.
Yeah, I'll send her a message. So, how did you guys meet?
School
friends. yeah.
And then work.
Ooh.
School friends from way back in the day.
Dope. Yeah.
Yeah.
About Chris, was it probably January last year? Paul's talking to me about Bitcoin. Nah, that won't work. And I looked into it and thought, wait on, I'm not missing out on this. I'd rather look back and go, gee, I was foolish, rather than holy shit, I really did miss out. So now I'm all in.
Yeah. Right. I remember when I was first telling him about it, I was quite new, and he asked some pretty cutting questions that made me question. Because I was sort of getting, as I do, I was getting carried away, like, oh shit, this is like revolutionary, before I even really understood it. Then he asked a few questions like, can't the government just shut it down, or wouldn't IRD just get involved? And just like pretty sensible, mature questions. And I was like, let me look into that. Turns out, no. Yeah, that was kind of, I think that was your point, Reed, really, when you sort of realised it was something, when you realised that a government couldn't stop it.
Yeah, and yeah, absolutely. It just sort of felt that I'd just rather look back in time and go, gee, I got involved with something a bit ahead of its time, or I was a bit foolish to get carried away, rather than look back and go, I really missed that, like you did with Apple stocks and the like. You sort of wish you were there earlier.
Amazon, yeah.
Yeah. So it was.
Well, back in the day when I first looked at it, like it could have been shut down. But something that I brought up earlier today as well was it actually, like half of it, like just this year, last year, half of the like mining power got shut down, taken offline, and moved to a different jurisdiction, and then came back online again. And Bitcoin just kept on trucking. Like it was fine.
Yeah.
The Bitcoin network's still here. It's better. Like
That was a huge moment, actually. And we were talking a lot about that at the time, because that was one of our main risks we'd identified was all that hash rate sitting in China. We're like, couldn't they do something, you know? And when that happened, it was kind of like, holy shit. Well, that was just a ridiculously major event and twist in the Bitcoin history. And Bitcoin just carried on.
Oh, I felt really I mean, that move made me feel really happy because I thought the West, if China's got all the hash power, the West one day will get very angry about that and want to bomb it. With the hash power moving towards the West, I felt Bitcoin was a lot more. Well, I had a lot more optimistic look at the future because if China had all the Bitcoin, all the mining, well, we'd get pretty grumpy about that when we realised, shit, we're on the wrong side of the ledger.
Good pun, yeah. Yeah, that's true. Talking about the journey of understanding Bitcoin, I retweeted today. I love that from Blue Collar Bitcoin. As one works to understand Bitcoin, they generally progress from asking, how could this thing possibly work, to how could this thing possibly fail? That was a nice turn of phrase, eh?
Well, in the short time I've been involved, and it hasn't been long, you've seen some major events that, you know, in a financial world would have required bailouts, but no one's bailed us out. We just keep on trucking and keep looking to the future.
Yeah.
So, how did Celsius bring down their liquidation point so much, though? They brought it down to like $4,000 or something like that.
Yeah,
They kept on bringing it down and down.
The thing is, though, they did do that by somehow paying off a loan from somewhere, but they're still not up and running. I mean, people's holdings are still not able to be withdrawn, are they? So whether they return in full glory, I don't know.
And I think I just recall they actually did file for bankruptcy.
Yeah, they did.
After bringing their liquidation rate down heaps, they filed for bankruptcy again anyway.
Yeah, and all of the people in it locked in. I think from what I was reading, are considered legally unsecured creditors.
Yes, they would be. Absolutely.
Right at the bottom of the pile in the bankruptcy proceedings. They're not going to get any money.
Yeah, I don't feel that those that were looking after, let's say, Bitcoin on their behalf at Celsius, I don't think they'll get it back. It's gone.
Wow.
Unfortunately for them. Yeah.
Oh man, that's such a burn. I'm all good. Like I took mine out of there ages ago, well before any of this went down. But yeah, I've got a close friend that. I mean, yeah, it's all good for him. Like he can handle it. But man, if that was my stash, it would suck.
Well, it would just be sour for the rest of your life as Bitcoin gets more and more popular, grows in value. You just always had this memory of, well, I lost all mine.
Well, to be fair, he should know. Well, no, because it's not all of his, as the thing as well. And like, well, I was going to say, to be fair, he should know better, but like, it's not. He does know better. Like, it wasn't all of his, you know. Like, we've lost it before on exchanges and stuff that have went down in the past, you know. It's just amazing that BTC Mount Gox is actually going to like getting some of it back to the people.
Yes. That wouldn't have been expected.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all about that cold storage, man. You got to own your Bitcoin properly.
Yeah, I moved quite quick to it because I was pretty nervous when I sort of heard about staking and the interest you could receive on staking. I was like, something's not right here. And so, yeah, I encourage Paul to get it off pretty quick too.
Yeah, that's where we really did the work, and studied up on what it actually means if it's on an exchange, because it's not, it's just an IOU note from the exchange. You don't own anything; it's theirs.
Yeah. Yeah. A wallet is key. But I've lost it on wallets as well too. Like, just having like just not backing it up very well.
Really?
I do think in some regards, these 24, how Ledger provides the piece of card to write your words on, that's a risk in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to memorize a few of those 24 and not have any 24 written down in one go. Because if any of us three stumbled across something like that in the street, we'd know exactly what it was.
No, you can't memorize any of it. You have to write it all down.
Well, what I've done is I've just memorized the first two and the last two of the 24, so I've got 20 written down.
You can't do that. You have to write them all down. You can't memorize. I mean, if you're going to memorize them, you got to like memorize them all. But you can't because you're going to like, well, please write them down somewhere. But like what you do, I think there's better things you can do than write it down on a piece of card. Like you could stamp it into a piece of steel, like put it somewhere like real sneaky. If you put it in steel, like you could put it in the ground. You could like glue it to the underside of a new bridge or something like that. You could put it somewhere like anywhere, like.
One idea I had was like you could write down like 23 or 22 or something, and then the last one word or two words you could go like carve into a wall cavity or something like that. Just one word, keeping separate. But even then, I mean, there's a good.
Don't
If someone
separate
gets to
them.
23, they can, that's a known dictionary. How is it, like 256 words or something? I can't remember the number. I mean, if you had the time and you found 23 words, you could eventually get them.
If you want, you can add your own extra word that can be any word you like.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I saw that when setting it up. I didn't quite understand how to do it simply, but yes, I did see that.
Yeah. So I mean, that is the better option because it could be just like a word but I mean, otherwise you just have it 12 words and you just remember the whole thing.
Actually can't find what I'm actually looking for them now. I hid them for
because those two words, man, like those two words at the front or two words at the back or something like that. After like you could have a head injury or something, let alone just after 2 years you could be like, oh, what? Like, or maybe after 10 years you're just like,
I have got them written down completely in an edit as well.
Oh, cool. Don't be specific on the internet, bro. But yeah.
Do you think that's an actual? Because I think about mass adoption, and I feel like the seed phrase system, although it's fine for us, we sort of understand it, and we know what the dangers are, and we get it, and you can explain it to somebody else. But for someone really new to Bitcoin, it's kind of a weird concept, and it's actually quite tricky. Do you think that there's like new innovation to come in that space?
With helping onboarding people with like security.
Or just coming up with an easier way. Not really sure what the question is, but something to hold your Bitcoin in cold storage maybe needs to be a little bit easier for the average person coming into Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think that's the Bitbox.
What's that?
Yeah, well, I think that's the new one up over the cold card. It's like real simple, and can be way more technical as well, like the best of both worlds.
Mm.
So yeah, I think we need to get a bit box, guys.
Yeah, because I mean, Lightning is beautiful. It's so user friendly, but you can't. It's like we talked about before. Lightning's like the cash in your pocket situation. It's not the secure place to store your full Bitcoin holdings. It's where you want to get price in your little bits for spending, like the ATM. Take it out of your savings and pop it into your Lightning wallet.
Your checking account, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So you almost need something that gets nearer to the ease of the Lightning Network. But yeah, I mean, it's got to be super secure. Your Bitcoin cold storage holding is your safe, so it's got to be. Yeah.
I just had the thought. So you don't necessarily know what happens to your Lightning channel if you overload the liquidity. You just think the transactions won't go through. Oh yeah, because you've got to have enough on the other side for when you have this bar, when you have your meetup. So I mean, I was just thinking, like, you just got to test it, just figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, it could be simple. If we're expecting 1 million Satoshis, it could be as easy as having 1 million Satoshis
it's
split across the channel. But yeah, we sort of, I don't know. I'm keen to remove any risk of it not working on the day, and so I'm quite keen to just go with custodial on the day to make sure it's nice and smooth and works. And I mean, we still got to test that out nicely yet too. Yeah, so I kind of, because I've seen people, not necessarily Bitcoin, but just in life, I've seen people, try to set something up that's cool and you try to go the whole hog in one go, and you'll and if it doesn't work, the point of failure could be at any number of areas. So we're just trying to reduce that really, and just make it quite basic to begin with, and then start rolling out it. I guess like the world of software development, which I work in, that's how you do it. It's incremental releases. You get your minimum viable product up and running, and it works, and then you add your features on top of it one by one. It's a safe, lower risk way of getting things going.
So what comes to mind, like attack vectors, we're talking about like writing down your seed phrase and things like that, is with passwords and like having like the two-factor authentication things. The biggest risk, I believe, is your cell phone. Sorry, I just muted old mate. Yeah, it's your cell phone. Like, if you have that as a factor authentication thing, like people can just steal your cell phone number relatively easy by replacing your SIM card kind of thing, calling up the telecommunications company. But they can pretend that they've want to reset their password and use your cell phone, and do it that way. But yeah, writing down the passwords, like not having them saved in your phone for really important things like your email address. Like the email address effectively turns into your bank account, so that's got to be like real secure. But yeah, you can't have that email, you can't have that password saved anywhere, apart from it written down,
Yeah, and the seed phrase is a bit longer, a password's one thing, but a seed phrase, and especially when you're in a situation where there's nobody there to help you. You can't click forgot password.
Yeah, but you can write it on a little bit of paper, and that takes up no room, and you can put that little bit of paper anywhere. Let alone like real important things. You stamp it into a piece of steel, as I said.
Yeah, that's what I like. Like I got one of those crypto steel tubes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
A what steel tube?
Crypto steel, they call it. It's like looks like a cigar tube, but it's steel, and it's got a little. When you unscrew it from the top, and it's got a little rod through the middle. And when you buy it, I've got the box right in front of me actually. When you buy it, they give you like a whole alphabet of little metal letters. And so you just slide them onto the rod in the middle and you put your words on, and it's got little separators between the words. And so you just spell out and slide your 24 words on, then you screw it up, and it's like a little steel cigar tube. And then it's waterproof, fireproof, everything steel. You just bury it somewhere.
I would like, if I was to do like the whole hog, I'd like go. I think from Super Cheap Auto you can get like the alphabet and steel punches, and you just punch it into any scrap bit of steel.
Yeah, that's what I've thought. Like I got the Crypto Steel to try it out, and it's quite a cool looking product. So it's it's really attractive. But actually, I do think into a steel plate is probably best. Kiwi Lamb suggested that, and he actually's got a few steel plates he had at the meetup in Auckland, and you can get those little punches of the letters and just do that. And I do think actually that's probably a better way, because there is a risk with the Crypto Steel. I mean, it's got a peg on the end of that rod. If you were to slip that peg off and all those letters fall off, you're fucked.
Totally. Like if you just forget the password or something, like, you have a head injury, like hurt yourself, like what if you just die, How's your family gonna get it? You can't remember, I mean you did tell us there is a backup way. But
yeah, I tweeted about that the other day as well, actually. It's really important.
What?
Just like telling your family about how to access your Bitcoin if you die. Like, I think it's probably far less thought of than wills and things like that. Like people get into Bitcoin and they may not think about that so much. But that's pretty bloody important, because there ain't no other way to recover it.
Yeah. You don't necessarily want to like put the details in your will, but I guess it's a good idea to have instructions in your will on how to go around finding your seed phrase.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Did Kiwi Lamb, did you say last time that Kiwi Lamb organised the meetup group in Auckland?
No. It was organised by Tip NZ and James Bigiano.
Yeah. Because I missed it, obviously, but I did do a virtual meetup with Kiwi Lamb, and that was real cool.
Yeah, man, he's a lightning expert and a lot of technical stuff with Bitcoin. He's a guru, and we met him at that Auckland meetup. We went out to dinner with him, sort of got quite friendly with him. We've kept in touch. He's awesome, He's a super nice guy, and he's just been keen to help us with anything,
Yeah.
Because he runs the biggest, the most liquidity of a Lightning node in New Zealand, I believe, just because that's how we discovered him. We set up our Lightning nodes, and then we were looking at all the nodes in New Zealand, and we saw his, and it was, he's doing, at the time, I don't know, it's been a little while now, but he was processing by far the most transactions in New Zealand. He had quite a lot of liquidity passing through his node.
Oh, very interesting. Yeah, I would like to talk to him.
Yeah, he's a software developer by trade. So he's pretty savvy with the technical aspects, and he really gets it,
Hopefully he'll be there in Wellington.
He can't actually make it up for this particular meetup, which we're pretty gutted about. But we were talking about him, he had an idea of doing something awesome where he's gonna shout us a beer, because we'll be able to just take a picture of the QR code and tweet it to him, and then he'll be able to shout us a beer from Christchurch, which would be pretty cool.
Cool.
You can't do that with fiat. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I was playing around with the BTC Pay server last night as well. I sorted out a BTC Pay address.
Yeah.
Which is like just the same as my email address, apart from there's pay in there. So it's like james@pay.co.nz.
Oh, yeah.
Bitcoiners.org.
Yeah, I want to set one of those up. Kiwi Lamb showed us that as well. He's got one going. After he helped us out, we sent him some sets. It's a bit of a surprise, and he got it straight away and messaged us. He's like, "Did you just send me those sets?" It makes it super easy, because it just looks like a sort of like an email address, really, and you can just
I had them with other wallets a little while ago, but I was quite stoked I got one with it's just the same as my email address.
Yeah, that's cool. Man, when I was telling you about that business owner I was talking to the other day, and his story about how he sort of got into Bitcoin early, and then he's kind of lost touch or lost his enthusiasm after just when it sort of hit the block size wars. I wonder how many Bitcoiners or ex-Bitcoiners, I guess, are out there are like that, where they really got it at the beginning and they were all for it. And then when it ran into scaling issues and the block size wars, and they kind of lost touch. And I wonder if they've all come back, or if they know about some of the latest innovation. It'd be interesting to know how many are out there like that.
Yeah, nah, bro. So many people don't know about it. I'm teaching people that have introduced me to Bitcoin, and I don't know I can't recall the block size wars. I don't remember anything about it. I just I just came back a couple of years ago. My mate was just like, "Oh, have you checked your wallet?" I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, because the Lightning, it's so it cracks me up every time seeing the Bitcoiners bang on about the transaction speed and cost, and they just haven't even heard of the Lightning Network.
Oh,
It's just completely clueless, and it's like, it's a huge innovation, and I mean, Lightning won't be the last. I mean, that's just the first clever solution that's really been successful that someone's come up with. I'm sure there'll be more innovations like that.
Oh yeah, because there's other
things.
types of Lightning as well, even. But yeah, we were talking to this American dude today, and he's done heaps of Lightning transactions. I mean, that's usually how he spent his Bitcoin. The main thing was actually we were all talking about like UTXOs and like just having like a clean, an anonymous wallet. I think mainly would be the subject, is what we were talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
Just having, and then I think the main thing my point from it was having Tor, setting up wallets using Tor, but I think isn't it the same with so you just set up a bunch of different wallets using Tor and put the Bitcoin through each of those wallets, and that helps give quite good separation from the original wallet, which is possibly got KYC Bitcoin in it.
Yeah, because I listened to a little bit. I didn't have much time for it, but I saw the recording you posted of that Spaces today, and I listened just for a few minutes, and I skipped through it and listened to another few minutes to see how the conversation was progressing. And I heard you guys talking about that, and I'm not technically all that savvy on all that stuff, but it was quite interesting. So, from what you were saying, is it true that if you, for example, just hypothetically, you had one cold storage wallet and you bought one Bitcoin and put it in there, and then you transacted from that one single Bitcoin, that means that when you transact, people can see via the blockchain how much Bitcoin you actually have. They can also sort of, in a way, just track you from that transaction and see your total holdings. Is that right?
Yeah, dude. Like if you're just buying something for a couple of thousand sats or something, which but I mean, like that's the whole thing. Lightning mitigates that problem. But yes, if you're just doing a transaction, like if you're investing into a company or something with your Bitcoin, and you send them a bit of it, they will look and see how much you've got.
It's interesting.
They can look into your account, you know, and they do, because they want to see if they're like dealing with a whale or not, you know.
Interesting. Yeah, because when we were at the Auckland meetup, I was talking to James Vigiano, and he was talking about I think he was talking about the process of, I think it was using CoinJoin or something to kind of mix it all up, or however that works.
Yeah. So the thing that I was just saying, I think I heard today it's possibly better than that. I don't know. Because I haven't, like, I've heard it's bad to be associated with a website like, you know, like a privacy kind of website like that. Like you can get black. Possibly, like there was a website today, Tornado Cash. I think it's like.
I saw some of that in the Twitter feed. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like compromising all the people that used it for their ETH to try and clean the ETH, and I think people got blacklisted and can't move some of it. Can't move their wallets. You know, all their wallets are gone, frozen.
Shit.
I don't know. Like, you know, I'm just maybe. But yeah, I think you just make up anonymous wallets using Tor and swap it through a few different wallets. I think that could be a good practice to do. I might try that.
Yeah, see, all this stuff, because I always go back to thinking about adoption for the average person who may not know much about Bitcoin, and all this sort of stuff is just way beyond what your average person would want to get into. And I imagine, you know, as we progress towards adoption, I'm expecting to see innovation with products and things where all this stuff starts to get taken care of.
Yeah. I think I forgot one of the most critical points thing about it. I thought was with these anonymous wallets that you're setting up, have denominations of like 5 million to 10 million sats, and in the future that could be quite a good sizable nest egg to be working with. As well as
wallets.
Sorry?
You're talking about if you the series of Tor wallet sort of thing you're talking about?
Like once you move it through a few, kind of like split it up into, like, you know, have it like diversification is having your Bitcoin in many different places, and like having it in a few different wallets in the end, you know, not having it all in one wallet.
Yeah, I've thought about that risk.
I think
storage.
I think what we were saying before as well with the extra word, how you can have an extra word in the seed phrase. There's something with that, with having an extra wallet inside it as well. So I mean, like the first, like without your extra word, you can just have a nominal amount of Bitcoin in there, and then if you put in the extra word, you can have, like, that's where your real savings is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm quite sure that is the case.
Yeah, I know for sure that Trezor does that at least.
Yeah, I've seen the option on Trezor. I haven't done it, but I've seen it there.
That is the case.
Yeah, there's plenty that do it. It's like a bait wallet, right?
Yeah, so what happens is kind of like you get your 24 or your 12 words, right? And you use that to create your public key. And then essentially you're just doing the same thing, but with 25 words. So you're just creating a new public key. So someone can have that 24 words without knowing that there is another public key attached to the 25th word. And it just generates a completely different, and you know how like all your addresses are generated off your what's referred like it's a public key or an XPub.
I should really take that option because I know I've got a Trezor and a Ledger, and I'm pretty sure the option's on Ledger as well for an extra word that I haven't taken.
Yeah, it's pretty on Ledger. You can attach it to another pin, so it's pretty easy to do. And then you can even do that, and you can have your pin. You could even have that same 24 words and have it as part of a multi-sig as well. And then they wouldn't be able to tell that it's part of a multi-sig.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I spend all my time reading about Bitcoin in general and theory, and I love all that side of it. I actually do not spend enough time reading about the technical, the capabilities. Like, I really don't know enough about wallets and how some of that stuff works under the hood, eh?
I think it's more putting it to practice as well. That's what I got somewhat embarrassed about by the BTC Pay server. Like, I've been using it, been setting up a few people with their BTC Pay server, and then I went to go use my own one, and the confirmation, my mate actually paid me quite a good amount of money, and it didn't confirm. I was like, it was quite embarrassing.
So what happens in that situation when it doesn't confirm?
Well, that's what I thought. I mean, I hit up old mate, and I was thinking like, oh, did we like burn out all the liquidity or something? But I don't believe we did. We never really fixed it in the end. He thought he did fix it when he updated the BTC, like when he updated my store, but I don't think anything happened. It just never, for me, it wasn't confirming. I just created another store and it works fine with the new store. But I mean, if so yeah, it didn't confirm for me on the screen, but it did go through. So I mean, it was there when I logged into the store, and I just transferred it into a different wallet.
Oh, yeah.
Once I logged in.
Yeah, because that's still, even now, after having learned quite a bit, I mean, you send a transaction, particularly on-chain, when I send an on-chain transaction, I still get that flutter of nervousness, Like, I don't know what it is. You just, even having done it so many times and now really understanding what is happening when I'm doing it, you just still, without that intermediary, you've got no backstop. If you fuck this up,
yeah, man,
get that little flutter.
I know how you feel with the on-chain transactions, like that wait. It's like, oh man, you're just waiting. It's sometimes if it's a lot of money, it's like you feel nervous.
Yeah, when I first got into Bitcoin, and I started off on an exchange, and I brought quite a lot, and I had lots sitting there. And then I went to move it to cold storage, and I sort of ran a test first. I did a little bit. So I generated an address, set up it was a Ledger at the time. I set it up, generated an address, and clicked withdraw and put the address in. And when I put the address in the first time, the exchange gave me the option to save that receive address. And without thinking, I said yeah and saved it. And then I was like, sweet, that test worked. Now I'll shift the whole lot. And so then I went to do it all again, and it was so new. I didn't really understand. I was just following steps, but like a prescription. And I did the process again, and I generated a brand new receive address on the Ledger. Then when I went to click withdraw in the exchange, it came up with the option of, do you want to use the saved address? And I didn't think twice, and I just said yes. And so I didn't even use the new address that I generated. Straight after I did it, I was like, shit, what have I done? And then I didn't know yet that all of those addresses are going to work forever. And I thought I'd fucked it up. And I thought that Bitcoin was gone for about 5 minutes until it showed up. There was like 5 minutes I was standing there and I was like, shit. And the missus was sitting on the couch and I was like, oh my God, do I have to just tell her that I've just lost thousands of dollars through one click of a button? Yeah. And I was just about to tell her. I was like going to fess up, and then bing, it appeared, and I was just like, oh my God, thank God, oh my God.
Yeah. Lightning. That's the one though. Instant.
Oh, Lightning is awesome. You show people a transaction and it just blows their mind, It's so cool.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I haven't blown many people's mind when I've done it. A lot of people are just like, "Oh yeah, yeah." You know?
Yeah, I've had that same reaction quite a few times. What's so special?
Yeah. Totally.
There was a guy at work I showed it to, and he was really surprised. So he'd heard us talking about Bitcoin, and so he came over and he was sort of asking all about it. And then he's like, "Yeah, I bought some Ethereum, I bought this and that," and I was like, "Ah, oh, and I started trying to explain all that to him, and he sort of listened, and then he came back the next day, and I was like, something Lightning, and he was like, "What's Lightning?" And I was like, "Oh." And I showed him. He downloaded Wallet Satoshi, and then I just sent him a few sats, and he was just like, "Far out! That's amazing." He was blown away. And then next minute, a couple of other people at work had come to me. "Oh, John showed us this thing, and he got me to download this wallet, and he sent me something. It's so awesome." And he was blown away, and he immediately went around the office, started spreading the word, and all of a sudden there's about 4 or 5 people with Wallet Satoshi running around with like 10 sats in their wallet, just thinking it's really cool. It was quite awesome.
Solid. Good effort, dude. It's the one. So, Pleb number 4. Where are you from? How did you find us? Are you in New Zealand?
Yeah, I'm from NZ. I was at that Auckland meetup with Tip and James and that. I think I met one of you guys and followed you off that.
Yeah, probably me. I can't remember who you were, but yeah, I was there.
I don't know. Pardon?
Are you in the Telegram?
Yeah, I think so.
Sweet.
No, yeah, that was cool. I would recommend if you guys haven't checked it out, run something like Sparrow Wallet with your own node in that, and just like the first time you send some transactions through that, just like have a nosy at what's going on. You see the change addresses and that sort of thing. You can see where it's coming from and going to. And just in terms of, I was thinking about that before when you're talking about how easy it is to like track people on chain. Like if you buy on Easy Crypto every time, you can see exactly like their addresses. It always has like 5 Bitcoin or something in it. And you can see it'll send out to like 4 or 5 people, and then 4.7 or something of it'll go straight back to their address as the change address.
Hey, yeah, I've heard about Sparrow Wallet, but I hadn't looked into it. But that's cool. I might check it out.
Yeah, just any one of those. And then like, I don't know, it's a bit better than like, I was on Ledger Live and that sort of thing for far too long. But then once you change to that, it's like, like sends you notifications and stuff like that when your transactions and the mempool and that sort of thing. And it's pretty cool. It just like functions a lot faster. Everything I find is a lot clearer than with those other ones.
Interesting. I might check that out. That sounds cool. And so when you create your wallet to begin with, how does is it a sort of normal seed phase process?
Well, you don't have to create a new wallet with it. You can just like use whatever wallet you have and just put the XPub in and make a watch only wallet, like you do with Blue Wallet or something like that. So you don't have the ability to send transactions with it, but you can just watch your account or generate send addresses and that sort of thing with it.
Yeah, that's cool. Like that even shows, like, because I was talking last time about like the normalcy bias and how we call when it comes to Bitcoin, we call wallets and Bitcoins coins, but they're not. It doesn't operate in any way, shape, or form like a traditional wallet or a coin. And how we just call it that because it's how our brains can understand it. And I even just then in that conversation, I fell for that completely because, of course, if I change from a Ledger or a Trezor to Sparrow, it's not like you're shifting your Bitcoin from one wallet to another. Like, it's nothing like that. And even then, my mind like slipped into that channel. It's so awesome how it's so different and interesting like that.
Yeah, there's some it's a bit old now, but there's an old couple of podcasts on what Bitcoin did with Shinobi, where he walks him through like some of the more technical stuff with like UTXO management and that sort of thing. That's pretty interesting. That's what kind of got my head around it at first.
Sweet. I am taking notes in this. I love these tips.
Well, because you're like the UTXO management's interesting because I feel like daily dollar cost averaging on chain, you can end up with some pretty expensive transactions down the track if you don't think about it in advance or don't consolidate when the mempool's empty.
I'm gonna have to listen to those podcasts. I definitely need to up my technical knowledge in that stuff.
Because you know, like the basics of how a transaction's formed, like the more inputs you have, the more it'll cost you.
Yeah, I did understand that, but I still
Yeah,
don't
that's
put two and
basically
two
all it
together
is.
when you're buying,
And that's the thing with like Sparrow is pretty cool for too, is because you can like label your UTXOs and that sort of thing and track it all like that. So like I have some that I store for like a friend, just like a friend's like little brother kind of thing. He's like 11 or something, and I orange pilled him. So like I bought some for him, his birthday money, and then just like labeled as UTXO, just to keep track of it.
That's cool.
So it's pretty cool for stuff like that. Like if you're running a business or anything like that, and we're actually trying to like track your transactions, something like Sparrow or one of those more advanced wallets definitely be the way to go. Mind you, in saying that, I don't know anything about like BTC Pay Server or anything like that. So
there's so many products and things out there now, eh? It's just coming in thick and fast, eh? With the new cool things that come out.
yeah.
We talked last week about how Coin Corner's doing that, testing that new function where you make a Lightning transaction, like it's no matter how small, and it auto buys Bitcoin for you at the same price as the transaction you just made. So it's keeping your wallet, keeping your holdings topped up at the exact same level every time you make a transaction. That sounds really cool to me if it could work well. Because so many Bitcoiners, they don't want it. They want to hold. They don't want to spend it, but at the same time, they want the novelty of being able to transact when you can. So I quite like that idea. It'll be interesting to see how it goes when it comes out.
So is there a Wellington meetup coming up soon? When's that?
Yeah, 17th of September. We're having a meetup at the Fork and Brewer in Wellington City. So it's the first one. Hopefully we'll have a string of them, but that's going to be the first one. So we're just organising at the moment. We're setting up a system to so you can pay Satoshis for beers.
I see. And you use Pay Server for that.
Well, we're actually setting up using, because we didn't think we couldn't find a bar that accepted it, and we didn't think we could convince one before our first meetup to accept it directly over the bar. So we've set up our own system where using LN Pay and basically just our own terminal for a point of sale, and have a set price, and you basically flash up a transaction and then you can get a drink at the bar. Like we've just got a tab set up for it, but we'll have a running count up on the screen of the total Satoshis used to purchase drinks, and then at the end we're going to have a giveaway, like give them away, just like a draw or something to someone at the meetup.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Since we set that up and came up with the idea and started putting it together, I've had some emails with the bar manager, and I actually think he's pretty open to setting up something. So I'm thinking I'm going to go meet him next week and chat about it. But he sounds pretty ripe for an orange pilling, and I think if I can get him over the line, maybe in time for the second meetup, he might be ready to receive it directly over the bar, which would be awesome. But just for this time, yeah, we've got that set up, and we've got some little tokens, some little shit coins or something, physical tokens. So when you make the transaction and it flashes up on the screen, you just take a token to the bar, and that signifies them putting it on the tab. It's kind of a halfway house where people can pay Bitcoin for drinks, and then the little novelty of a draw to give them away, which will be quite cool, I think.
Well, at least you can avoid those stupid comments where people are like, "Oh, Bitcoin meetup, and you can't even use Bitcoin. Haha, see, it'll never work."
yeah, that is, yeah. Yeah, we really wanted to somehow get it going and make it that you could do it. Yeah, it will be cool. And a few people I've talked to are going. Got them to download Wallet of Satoshi and showed them through it, so they'll come prepared. But even then, like, we imagine we'll be there a few hours. So some people get there and see what's happening. You know, they would have time to transfer on chain if they wanted to get amongst it.
I don't quite get that thing as well, like a Bitcoin meetup. Even if like there's Bitcoiners there, all the Bitcoiners will accept Bitcoin, and they would go. You know, they would kind like, you know, you're gonna pay me Bitcoin, I'll kindly go get you a drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks like we've got I think there's about 20 so far locked in to come. So we should have a decent little group. And I probably reckon about, of the people I know are coming so far, I reckon probably at least half will be keen to have a crack at buying a drink. So I think we should get some uptake through it, give it a little go. And for the first one, we're just going to put on the tab and give it away. So essentially paying for that. And so we sort of set it at like I was saying before, 20,000 or 25,000 Satoshi. So it's slightly subsidized as well, and then the chance to win it back. So hopefully that's enough incentive to get people giving it a go. I reckon there'll be a bit of uptake.
Enough incentive to get everyone drunk.
Yeah, there's a few people. There's a couple of people traveling for it. I know Tip and James Figiano are going to come down. Might be one or two more. So I've said to them, you know, like, we can go out for dinner afterwards as well to make it a little bit more worthwhile if you've travelled, and anyone else that wants to come.
Sorry, Plebe, did you say you're in Auckland? Huh?
No, I'm in the far north, but I've got family in Auckland, and I just happened to be there when the meetup was on. And I'm going to Wellington soon. That's why I asked.
Yeah. You won't be here on the 17th of September, though. Is it a bit far away?
No, a bit later. I'm there like first weekend of September. First weekend of September.
Oh, yeah. We'll definitely plan more, and we'll keep. So I've been putting it up I've got it on Twitter. We set up a meetup.com group. So yeah, to keep an eye out, maybe one time in the future if you're going that way.
Yeah, I tend to travel around and see the family a bit, so you never know. That's why I joined the channels and that, because I mean, there's like, I don't know any Bitcoiners or anything up here.
Bro, we are your family.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I went to that meetup, Well, because my missus basically signed me up. She like knew I was going crazy, not having anyone to talk to about it, and driving her crazy for like 2 years. So I think she messaged like either Tip or James because she'd like seen me like showing their videos and stuff like that. And then they were like, "Oh, we're having this meetup. Send him along." It's like take him off my hands.
That was awesome. Yeah, that was a cool meetup too. There was a really good feeling, and the chat was really good. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was. I always wonder how haven't heard from them much since, but those guys that were there from was it Omaru Energy Group?
Yeah,
And they're trying to find sources of stranded energy in that so they can set up mining facilities.
yeah. I had a good yarn with them. They were pretty interesting because we'd sort of talked. Me and a couple others had sort of talked about something like that as well, and it was quite interesting asking them all about it because they were getting into it quite heavily and figuring out all the logistics and how you would do it, and they were pretty interesting. I think one of them follows us on Twitter and interacts a little bit. Although I noticed the other day their website wasn't working. I wonder if they've got it working again. I wonder if it was a bug or something. Nah, it's not working. I might message him, ask him if he knows that it's not working. Yeah, he said he reckoned they were close to maybe something. He said he couldn't divulge anything at the time because they were in the thick of discussion about it. But it sounded like they were close to maybe securing something with somebody.
Yeah. I don't know what they're like, who they're approaching and that sort of thing, but I mean, it's bound to happen eventually. I mean, I know like Contact are already building a freaking mining facility in Cromwell, so someone's figured it out.
Yeah. It'll definitely come.
I tried to put them on to a couple people. Like, I know one guy who's like, he's a Bitcoiner. Well, not really Bitcoiner, he's into crypto. But for his day job, he works in corporate finance at Meridian. I'm like, man, you're like he's in the perfect position. If you could actually orange pill him and get him to realize the potential, but I think he's still a while away. So, how do you guys deal with those conversations you have with people where they're just kind of looking for like gotchas instead of like actually an authentic kind of like exchange of ideas? Or you tend to just walk away, or do you have a technique to get through to people?
Sometimes I often get trapped where I start trying to, just answer them, and you start looking for gotchas back, and it's really bad to get pulled into that, and I try not to. Sometimes, yeah, I have got to the point, like there's a particular group of people that are really cool people, and they were actually my project team I was working with at the time, and they just didn't want a bar of it, and they just they had a little chat group going, and anytime I mentioned Bitcoin, they would post like gifs of like cults and stuff like that, and they would just take the piss. And anytime I tried to explain something seriously, yeah, they were just quick with a little gotcha here and there. And in the end, I just had to give up with them. And it's hard, eh? You do just run into that wall sometimes, and people just don't want it to be real, and they're never going to accept it. It is tough, eh? You really do need to. They've got to have an open mind, or they're just not going to get there.
Yeah, I just tell them, I just like real straight up that they're wrong.
Yeah, I guess I do it in a nicer way, but it's pretty much the same. I just tell them, yeah, I just don't think you really need to look into it. It's amazing when you can meet someone who doesn't know anything about it and is very skeptical, but they are in a good faith conversation and they actually listen and then go away and do some of their own work and come back. And sometimes that's the best feeling. There was a guy I was talking with, and he just, at the start, he was constantly challenging me about the energy fund. And then there was something. He went and did some of his own research, and the penny just dropped. And he came back, and the next thing he's asking me to help him set up a wallet and get going, and he's just all into it. And it was just a great feeling, you know. He was trusting that I wasn't just talking shit and being cultist or anything, and he was listening, and he did his own research, and he just got into it, and it was just awesome. But yeah, I haven't run into. I guess my answer is I haven't run into someone with that gotcha attitude that I've been able to switch really.
You're all very good ambassadors. I don't actually engage too much in it. My view is the longer it takes people to get into it, the more time I've got to buy.
Yeah, that's kind of where I've ended up. Just figure, they'll get it eventually. It's not my responsibility. But then every once in a while, I kind of get enthusiastic and end up chatting about it. I always end up just frustrated. I can't be bothered anymore. Back to not talking about it.
I think it's good to not like be ramming it down people's throats. I got surprised. I had somebody ask me lately, like, "Oh, why don't you tell me to buy it?" I was like, "Oh, really? No, like you should totally be buying it." Like, but I mean, you know, just to be talking about it. Just like, you know, the invitation to treat, I think, is kind of what comes to mind. Like, you know, you just have the word out there, kind of tell people, kind of, you know, to just give them advice a little, kind of, you know, tell them about it a little bit. But yeah, I mean, for me, I'm just kind of going to ask a heap of businesses if they would like to set it up as a payment, you know.
One good thing I've found, or one I've discovered over time, is at the start when I really had a passion that I wanted to explain it to anybody and for them to get it. I spent a lot of time trying to create my own sort of, I guess, unique explanation of Bitcoin that I thought that if I just came up with a way of explaining it that was good enough, that everyone I explained it to in that way would get it. And I spent ages trying to come up with it. And then it dawned on me in the end that you can't do it that way. It doesn't work that way. Everybody's got a different brain. And Bitcoin is such a wide-ranging thing, you know, like there's actually, the more you learn about it, the more there is to learn. And it just is so big that I found the best way is to have them ask the questions. And then you just go where their brain goes. Like some people are only interested in one aspect, or they're not interested in another particular aspect, or they can't really understand that and they don't want to try and understand that. And so you just try and prompt questions out of them and just travel down the rabbit hole of their questions. That's the best success I've had. And I've recently been trying to orange pill my parents. And at the start, they were just all gotcha and like, this can't be real sort of thing. And I haven't orange pilled them yet, but they're getting there. And the way I found some success was figuring out what they were interested in. And so with my dad, it was we went down the proof of work path, you know, and comparing it to gold. And he really got that. And then he was really I didn't know, but I found he was quite passionately angry about the way that banks sit in the middle and take that clip of the ticket on every little thing you do. And so once we started getting into how Bitcoin skips out that middleman, that's when he started to get it and see the value. And then with my mum, she didn't care or understand any of that kind of stuff. And she works at a legal office. And so talking to her, she was telling me about like how things work in a law office when you're exchanging property. And she's talking about settlement date and all that kind of stuff. And so I started talking to her about how Bitcoin can work in that kind of environment. And that's when she started to get that bit. And she could suddenly see a way that Bitcoin just cuts out so much of the mess of the legal profession dealing with property exchanges. And so I've had some, I guess, the green shoots of some success with them by just figuring out what they care about or know about money. So that's the number one thing I've found lately is for someone new, just find out what part of it they understand or are interested in, just plug away at that, and the other stuff can come later. Because you can never, I've also found you can never stop I can never stop talking. Like I'm probably doing it now. But that's like, I need to learn when to shut up, that I've given them enough information to stew on and just leave them with it for a while and wait for them to come back with a new question.
I think that's the mistake I've made many times. Just too much information, and it really just needs to be that one key thing that people can relate to, as you say.
Yeah, because I went a step too far with Dad. Like I was getting on a buzz because he was getting it, and he was like understanding why proof of work is important and why scarcity is important. And then I went a step too far and tried to explain mining in 5 minutes, and then I could just see his eyes glaze over, and he just wasn't understanding that at all, like how it can be mined like digitally. And and then explaining it, it's not really mining. It's just, again, one of those normalcy bias terms like wallets and coins. Yeah, and that's when I lost him and had to come back the next day. But yeah, I'm the same. Just once you get your buzz on, like it's so, I'm so passionate about it, I just can't freaking stop. If someone shows an ounce of interest, just off I go. Biggest worry I've got at the moment is I sort of semi-orange pilled a girl at work, and she's got a wallet and she's got herself up and running. And then I didn't see her for a couple of weeks, and she'd been talking to other people about it. And then she comes over to talk to me, and she's fucking shitcoining up a storm. And talking about all, and I'm just like, no. And so now I'm on the major mission just to try and get her to understand the difference between Bitcoin and the rest. And so now I've got this new task at hand because I got her halfway, and then she got poisoned by some crypto clowns around the place.
Yeah, I've had that happen too. Just you get them into Bitcoin finally, and then the next week they turn around. Oh, I got some Ethereum too to diversify.
Yeah, that's exactly what she did. And then she's made money on that Ethereum pump, so she's all about it. And I'm like, no. And I'm like, get it out now, trade it for Bitcoin now, get it out.
Yeah, such a distraction on those exchanges, eh?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Like I say, everyone goes through it. Everyone has their journey.
I think that's probably the one of the worst things, though, isn't it? Like, what exchange did she go to? Where did she buy it from?
I think she was set up on Exodus for her wallet.
Huh.
I'm not quite sure how she's bought her Ethereum. I didn't ask her any details. I just panicked and was just like, no. So I don't know exactly what she's done there, how she's done that. But she set her first wallet up in sort of the right way. But yeah, I'm not quite sure how she's gone next with that.
Yeah. Well, the exchanges that I'm using, like, man, there's just shilling so hard. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. There's that Bitaroo is a Bitcoin only exchange. I started using it, but I've actually stopped because they do actually, until you withdraw, they've got custody. It's not like a crypto situation where you just buy and they send it to your wallet. You do make a bank transfer, and it's nice that you buy and it's just instant and you see it come straight into your balance. But then when you withdraw, it was like a 10,000 sat fee. And so I withdrew everything, but I've got 10,000 sats sitting there that I can't get out. And so I'm sort of like, I don't know. I know you've got the whole KYC thing with Easy Crypto, but I do like the idea that you just make that transaction, it comes straight into your cold storage and you're done.
They're taking a fee. You don't like it?
Yeah, I don't like that either. Now I've seen they've got a credit card option, but I've started using that. I was thinking I'll get some air points, but I'm actually wondering to see if it comes through, because I think they just changed the credit card. The banks just changed their rules, I think, that they ain't going to give you air points for cryptocurrency purchases. Motherfuckers. I'm waiting to see if that actually translates when it comes to my next Airpoint statement. See what I get. But yeah, it would be better to do peer-to-peer. If I was up in Auckland, James, I'd be coming to those things and having a yarn and seeing what I could get peer-to-peer from people, I think.
Well, you're going to be doing it in Wellington, aren't you? You should be advertising that, I think, as a part of it, as a part of your meetup.
Yeah, we didn't advertise it that way to begin with. We just want to go for a bit of a chat. But I was thinking about when we're there, asking people what they think if we could open it up for a bit of that. And of course, people will do it amongst themselves if they want to.
Oh, I mean, it could just be a little side note on maybe some of the comments or whatever, like, just the thing that's known, like, if you wanted to buy a Bitcoin, the best place is to go to a Bitcoin meetup and buy it off someone directly. And you can just buy, like, $100 worth just to get you started, get you off zero.
Yeah, so when you have your ones, like, have you got are there like multiple people, like miners or someone showing up who have got Bitcoin to sell?
No. I mean, I would just, I would try and connect them with somebody else, but I could just, you just recommend for them to just buy a little bit to start off with, just like people shouldn't go crazy. Like if somebody turns up with 10 grand, I'd just be like, well, you shouldn't dump that whole 10 grand in one go, you should split it out and just do a little bit every week. And I'll just try and, just do a little bit.
So you actually arranging peer-to-peer selling? Like there are the people there who have Bitcoin to sell peer-to-peer?
That is starting to come about. Like, I had this lady that wants to buy heaps. Well, she's got heaps of cash, wants to buy way too much Bitcoin. I don't want to sell her no way near that much Bitcoin. But then I just had this other lady contact me today. She wants to sell all their Bitcoin. So
there is a Discord that does that.
Yeah. I know that, but it seems some of these people don't know about Discord, and they seem to have both contacted me within a few days of each other.
Because there are those. What's that website I've checked out? I haven't actually made a trade, but there's a website.
Local Bitcoins.
Yeah, that's it. I had a look at that one time, but didn't actually do anything. But you slightly you pay a slight premium for peer-to-peer, don't you?
I forget about local Bitcoins. It's probably got more liquidity on there than BISC at the moment, because that's the other one, like BISC Network, right?
Yeah, someone said you can't use that here though, or that there's no traders for NZ with BISC or something.
Yeah,
that.
But maybe a bit more traders with local Bitcoins.
Something I haven't put enough effort into. Need to start building the KYC free stack.
Yeah.
I see on local Bitcoin right now. So the current price in New Zealand dollars, of current value is about 37,500, and on local Bitcoins, the cheapest is someone at 38,950. So there is definitely a slight premium, but it's probably worth it for what you get, because then you don't have to go through a process to try and clean it up later or anything. Someone's offering it to purchase via credit card. But they're going at 55,000 New Zealand. Jeez.
Yeah, so it's just a joke, isn't it? I mean, I don't know. I just buy off Binance. Why not? It's cheap. Get more Bitcoin for your money.
Mm. But to their credit, Easy Crypto, it's pretty easy. I guess I'm just using it because I'm used to it and it's simple.
Yeah, I don't think you want to be using it if you're worried about like having clean Bitcoin though.
No, it's yeah. My Bitcoin's definitely not clean. But yeah, this has all made me want to look into it more. Especially about that stuff about fees when you're stacking it up like that. That's my number one all of a sudden, just learning about that. I want to sort that out.
Yeah, it's not too big of a deal because you can always just set you to like 1 sat per VByte and wait and consolidate. But I mean, if you're doing like a daily, like dollar cost average, I would definitely think about it.
Mm.
How would you daily dollar cost average?
How would you?
Yeah.
Like just buying, like if you were buying like $50 every day.
Yeah, how? Like, I mean, on Binance.
Or you could do it anywhere.
Oh, you like physically, not automatically.
Not automatically, no.
Yeah,
Do it manually. Didn't
I just know how to do it like automatically on Binance. Like some other places you can't.
there
Yeah, I
was
think
a
heaps of
place that
exchanges
had it?
can.
Sorry.
I don't know anywhere that does it now. There used to be a one for NZ. Started with B. I can't remember the name of it. They shut down.
Oh yeah, but I don't want to use a New Zealand one either though.
I know heaps of the DeFi exchanges and shit have all those functions, but nobody wants to use those.
Mm. Or RoboSats.
RoboSat. I don't know that one.
Yeah, supposedly that's the other one. An exchange.
Yeah, because I pretty much am dollar cost averaging all the time, but not sort of just automatic per day set amount. I tend to just keep a little eye on the price and just buy all the little dips every 2 or 3 days or something like that. It's my general pattern.
I seem to smash by.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have trouble holding on to fiat
Mm.
long enough to get to the dips.
Yeah,
It's a
if I get a
problem.
bunch of fiat, I don't hide. Yeah, I'm a fiat minimalist.
Yeah, same. I save everything I can in Bitcoin pretty much. Like my current situation, I run I'm a bit nerdy with my planning and stuff, so I run a pretty tight budget, and I'll have an amount sort of every pay, I guess, that I spend over the next period for the next pay. And I just keep an eye, basically watch the 15-minute candles. And if I see it drop down a bit and then stabilize, then I'll just quickly make a buy of a couple of $100 or something.
Gambling.
There's a
Yeah,
few good days to
Oh,
watch out for, though, that's worth saving some powder for. Like the last Friday of the quarters when all the forced selling's happening. It's always good, always gets cheap.
Mm.
so you're just buying, like you're not selling? I mean, you
How
are.
do you sell?
Yeah, I know. I sold once. I brought and then sold $100 just as a test because I wanted to know how to sell it. If I ever got into some kind of situation where I can't even envisage what the situation would be. I just wanted to know that it was possible. That is the only time I ever sold it, and I brought it straight back. So I would have copped the fee, but I just wanted to know that it was possible and how you would do it. But apart from that, no, I've never sold anything.
I never bothered.
Yeah, a lot of people are quite interested to know that you can transfer it over with the click of a button to something like US dollars or gold. So, a lot of people don't know that. Like it, I sometimes I wish I kind of did. As you say, dry powder, whatever, did that. And I mean, I think at the meetups, I believe I will be forced to do that if I'm holding these meetups and I'm advertising, saying, "Hey, look, you can buy some Bitcoin." Like, I'll just start getting some cash, But I should definitely do it next time where it's pumping.
Well, you could, if you did that, James, just to encourage trading, and there was no one there to sell it, and somebody wanted to buy it, it would be quite easy for you to just, I guess, sell it to them peer to peer, and then buy some of your own back immediately after, before the value has really shifted, and then you're not really losing anything, and you're just sort of giving somebody else a chance to get involved in educating.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Well, that's basically what I do. If I don't sell, but if I do spend it, I'll just buy it back with fiat straight away.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Because for a while, CoinKite had credit card turned off, so you had to use Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah. Bit of a change of subject, but James, an interesting aspect of Bitcoin I've been talking to someone about recently, and you've got those stickers you've stick in places. What is it, like Bitcoin defund wars or something like that?
Yeah, make war unaffordable.
Yeah. I've been talking about that element with a few people lately because that's a pretty awesome. I love those kinds of topics with Bitcoin. And I was just I've been reading the Fiat Standard lately, and there's some good stuff in there about it, like just good, nice, clean explanation which help explain to people how that could work or how that would work. I reckon that is just a massive train of thought, like revolutionary thinking, like that. Quite interesting to talk to people about, just explaining how the funding of wars has progressed through history, and how the 20th century, sort of brought basically governments can just take all the value that basically exists in their society and fund wars with it by creating money. And it's actually pretty sick. And yeah, talking about that aspect with people is quite interesting. Like sometimes if they're sort of new to Bitcoin, they just think I'm crazy claiming that Bitcoin can end war, or at least end long war.
That's what dollars are, the government vouchers that they're just backed by the army. People are like, oh, what's gold? I mean, what is Bitcoin backed by? It's backed by electricity. It's backed by energy. It's backed by computers. And more than that. But government vouchers, dollars, it's all it is. Like, it's not backed by gold. It's just backed by the army. It's sponsoring the army effectively, and that's why we went off the gold standard. It was to be able to finance war.
Yeah, that's right. And it's interesting how some people have good knowledge of the gold standard. So, and I think I mentioned this last week, but some people don't actually even realize that the gold standard no longer exists. Like they still think that there's something sitting there. because they've read some history about the gold standard, but they didn't read the rest of the history about how it was eliminated. It's quite interesting because it basically started ending in the First World War, didn't it? From what I was reading, and then I guess culminating in Nixon just destroying it completely. I do love talking about that aspect with people. And yeah, it is always the funniest when someone says, "Oh, what is Bitcoin though? It doesn't even exist. Like, what's it backed by? What's it?" And then the good, and that's the little gotcha. Like he's talking about gotchas before, but you've always got a great gotcha back because you're just like, well, what is your money? What is it backed by? Like, let's explore that. Let's talk about that. And it's quite eye-opening. What was for me when I really a while back now I clicked that it's just nothing. Like it's just debt.
Yeah.
And to tell somebody that there's more debt than there is money and the gap is always widening is crazy. That if every single person and organization decided to pull up their britches and pay off their debt, they can't. There isn't enough money.
Oh, and I mean that's like it is money, so it's kind of like it's how the wealthy do it. You just borrow debt and make money with your debt, you know?
Yeah. The notion of saving, like when I was a kid and was taught to save and watch the interest compound, and that's just not even a thing. It just doesn't even exist. I feel sorry for the youngest people because at least we had that dream when we were young, and now it's just you can't advise. I heard a woman at work telling a young guy who was only about his early 20s, and she was trying to give him some kind of advice on how to save for his house. She's like, you just got to save and put it in an account with some interest. And I just started laughing, and I was just like, you can't do that. Your money's just going to lose its purchasing power. Unfortunately, you're going to have to find an investment vehicle that makes you more gains than inflation. Good luck, without being some kind of expert. That's that old way of thinking is broken. It doesn't work. Yeah, that's the beginning of an orange pilling, which is always good. But yeah, it's really quite sad. Like I'm teaching my kids about Bitcoin because I can't teach them what my parents told me about saving and compound interest because it doesn't exist anymore, really.
Did you hi Dom? Did you guys meet Dom at the Bitcoin meetup? I see he knows Tip.
Don't know. No, don't know. Don't recognize it there.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I really missed out on that meetup.
He doesn't. The face doesn't look familiar. The Creature from Jekyll Island is
oh yeah,
a good book on the central banking and how it all started. If you guys haven't read that one, it's about the origins of central banking in 1911 on Jekyll Island.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean,
a bunch of rich dudes got together and decided to fund World War One.
Kind of interesting. I was listening to the audiobook and I did actually have a lot of trouble staying awake.
The kind of related, the best one I've listened to recently is the Bitcoin Standard podcast, his episode with that African dude from Senegal about the African franc system and how there's like 15 countries in West Africa and their money's just printed out of the south of France and they have no control over all their economies.
Yeah. I haven't listened to that particular episode you're talking about, but I have read a bit about that system. It's a shocker, eh?
It's wild, eh? I've never been so bullish on Bitcoin after a podcast as that one. Because the way he talks about it, like, it's like they've got such a young population. They're all educated because of the internet. They're all fed up with it. They know what's been going on. and like one of the countries, Central African Republic, has just made it legal tender.
Yeah.
So it's like the snowball has like just started rolling. It's like I've never heard of a bunch of countries with such a like cause to get behind Bitcoin as like that situation, because France just takes like a 50% haircut on any raw material they export
Yeah.
just because they control their printer. Long story short, they got just no control over anything.
So I guess that's a similar premise to why someone like El Salvador went that way as well, because their currency hyperinflated sort of 20 years ago, and they switched to the US dollar as their legal tender, and so they're in a similar position where they have zero control over the monetary policy. But obviously, it sounds like the franc system's like even worse because it's a direct manipulation. Whereas the US dollar policy, they're not thinking about or caring about El Salvador, and they're just kind of like collateral damage, I suppose. Whereas that French system sounds like just deliberate nastiness.
Yeah, well, it's the one thing he said that got me really thinking. He's a really good speaker. I highly recommend listening to it. But he said something along the lines of like, if you think about it, like, what does a country like France or like Europe in general actually have? Like, they've got the history, they've got the population and the control over the economy, but like, it's not like they're coming out with like new technologies or driving anything. They don't have any raw materials. They've just got a massive population and control of all these countries' money printer. And so it's like they've just, their wealth has literally just been robbed out of Africa over the last, however long, hundreds of years since they pulled out.
Yeah, so the French aren't producing or innovating or building. They're really just like the financial system, sitting there looking at where they can make money with the power that they have.
So yeah, the remittances again.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Do you think Tonga will happen this year?
I don't know, because if you just listen to Lord Fusituura and believed him, then you'd think yes, but he never talks about how the vote is shaping up. Like, they're going to put this bill forward. They need X amount of votes through their system. I've never heard him once answer questions or talk about who he thinks he's got on side. Like, I've heard him say that he thinks he's got all of the royal members of the parliament on side, but not in a convincing way. But he needs more than that. And he never talks about that. He talks confidently, but I don't know. Who knows how they're actually going to vote? Has he orange pilled enough people in that parliament to get it done?
I can't remember the exact numbers, but I remember him saying something like he needed like 14 votes, and he had 3 that he knew would back it, and then he had like the block of lords, which are all like his royal family thing, and he's like, they'll vote with me no matter what, so that bringing them to like within 3 votes. And then for the rest, he was just like, there's no one that's going to really be against it once I get up in Tongan Parliament and say, who wants to put an extra 30 cents of the dollar in every Tongan's hand on remittance? He's like, none of them will actually argue against it. But it seems like he has to actually get into Tonga first.
Yeah, because he's not been in the country for a long time, and he sounds like he's got some serious health issues as well.
Yeah, he's been in Auckland Hospital like the whole time. That's why he was on Spaces so much.
Yeah. I really hope so. I mean, it would be pretty cool to have something nearby that's a bit like a little bit of a mecca for Bitcoiners. It'd be great to go over there and check it out and that sort of thing. And I know he talked about if they got it through, they'd introduce something like I think they'll set up a system where you X amount of Bitcoin, you can get automatic citizenship. And he talked about having the same for Tonga. It would be cool if it became a little bit of a Bitcoin center in our part of the world.
A huge percentage of that remittance is going to be coming from New Zealand. So it'll be huge for us too.
Yeah, it would be big news, eh? Like, that's That's such a huge would make such a huge difference if you could orange pill some Tongans or anybody sending those remittances from New Zealand. And there's a ton of them in the Pacific Islands on that difference of what that can mean, eh? Like it's such a big fee, that stuff.
I was hoping Jack Maulers would pay attention to it at some point, but I think we're a bit too small.
Oh, he thinks. I believe Lord Fusatua has claimed at some point that he's been in touch with Strike, and he said that Strike have offered to help, and that is Mellor. So I think they actually are aware by the sounds of it, but I think they've got to get closer to getting that bill passed to make something happen.
It's very good. It's good to hear.
But it's always one of those things that, like the cool thing about Bitcoin is it doesn't need anybody, and you want to try and I've learned and been burned by looking at some individuals in Bitcoin as some kind of messiah or something. And sort of like for a while I was like following every comment Fusatua made with bated breath sort of thing, like this guy's a legend sort of attitude. But yeah, and then sometimes I wonder, and someone at the Bitcoin meetup in Auckland, I mentioned something, I can't remember who it was, but somebody said to me, oh, there's something dodgy, some kind of thing in history with Fusatua, and sort of dampened him down a little bit for me. I can't remember what they said now, but I'm always wary of trying to put those people on a pedestal. Like I worry about Max Kaiser and Stacey Herbert, who are just so all in on Bukele and El Salvador. It's a little bit cringeworthy. Like they really know this guy that well. Like there's a bit of chat around about him. You can't really just throw your lot in with some kind of charismatic leader and think that that's going to be the way to go. Humans are humans.
No, that's one thing I believe 100%. Bitcoin, you slay all your heroes eventually.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah. Heaps of Bitcoiners learned with Elon Musk, eh?
There's some dark stories out about that, dude. I was in a space the other day where they were telling stories about all the legal cases about people that have been disabled working in his plants and that sort of thing, and all the legal tactics he's using to shut down all the stories. They painted a really dark picture about him, eh? It was like some kind of group negotiating thing. I can't remember what the name for it was. And all the cases are tied up in that, some kind of union-esque thing. So none of the cases will come out individually in court. But it's people that have been working on shift for 12 hours straight kind of thing, and got carpal tunnel and developed these disabilities and weird stuff like this. Apparently the safety practices in the Tesla plants are just non-existent.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. I don't know how true it is, but they seemed pretty legit. And they painted a really dark picture about him. I always thought it was interesting how much Saifedean hates on him.
Yeah, because coming back to that, you don't. Bitcoin's definitely taught me about heroes. How many top sort of Bitcoin influencers, or whatever you want to call them, you see just end up infighting and turning, and it's a crazy world. But I think, I thought about it once, Bitcoin is this thing that's out there, and everybody can use it, and it's permissionless, and everybody's going to have their own different ideas. It's kind of like money, you can't. Nobody blames the money when a criminal commits a crime for money. It's at the moment, Bitcoin's so new that we see it as this community and this kind of movement, but it's going to be so big that it just is, it's just a commodity that everybody uses. It's a thing that's there. And so we've got this huge diversity of people with completely different ideas and motivations and that. And it's just, we're finding that out because it's so new and so early that it feels like this little community that's all pulling in one direction. But there's just every man and his dog. There's all different personalities and all different shills and all different people with different ideas, and they're all going to go their different ways. So you can't look at any of them as some kind of hero.
Yeah, 100%. Do you think we've got a chance of orange pilling any New Zealand politicians?
Well, you would have thought. I would have thought ACT would have looked into it more by now, because I guess they're most aligned with that sort of like libertarian aspect. But in the end, I mean, Bitcoin to me sits outside of it. Really, it's almost like in the end they're going to want to get in and have power in some way. Like I still don't know, even if they brought into it, if they'd be looking for separation of money and state. But maybe they would be. I mean, it really is a libertarian principle, the way that it can separate money from state and turn a government into just a utility provider, like it should be, in my opinion. So you'd think it would be up ACT's alley, but has anyone talked to Seymour? I don't know. I don't know if anyone trying to lobby that sort of thing in New Zealand, but it kind of goes against what you think about Bitcoin. You don't want to be out there lobbying governments. I don't know.
Yeah, just grassroots movement.
Yeah, that's a good point. It is a peer-to-peer network. It's the most organic way it can grow. It's peer-to-peer, just like that.
Like I was too young to remember really, but when the internet started coming in, were there any political parties in New Zealand or anywhere really who were really pro-internet and getting that going? Because that was kind of a libertarian type of viewpoint where you were going to make all of mass communication available and permissionless, and anyone could build something on this protocol. Sometimes I find the internet is the best analogy with Bitcoin. So I don't know the history of what happened back then. If libertarian style parties were promoting or were interested in the internet and thinking that was a good thing, I'm not sure. I think Judith Collins once said something about Bitcoin. There was just a quote somewhere a while back now, a year ago or something. She made a quote that she thought she'd looked into Bitcoin and it was very interesting or something like that. It was just like a one-liner.
Boiling the oceans, and it's the same as crypto. Okay.
I wonder if I just Google Seymour. He's ever seen anything.
Ethereum's like the new version, isn't it?
I don't have a lot of faith in Seymour as a libertarian, though.
Yeah.
And there's all that.
I've tried. I've actually sent personal, individualized emails to politicians, and they haven't even replied to me.
I emailed Megan Woods, because she's like innovation and technology and energy and all that. I sent her a letter explaining a bit of Bitcoin and telling her that we need to turn TY Point into a Bitcoin mining facility, or build one next to Manapori when TY was going to be shut down. And I was like, this is like the perfect use case. And she kind of sent back this Dear John, being like, yeah, that's great, really interesting. Unfortunately, we don't have any levers to pull as politicians. So it has to come from the private industry. I'm like, what? The Minister for Innovation doesn't have any levers to pull on the greatest innovation in human history. Right. It's like, it must just be a template. It just slap your name on and send out a.
Yeah.
Sorry, we don't have any levers to pull on that one.
I googled David Seymour Bitcoin and then nothing came up. He's never talked about it. But the top result was some Facebook post from 2018, and it's just him like out on the campaign trail or something. And he's got helping out these awesome young entrepreneurs who run this ice cream stand that accept Bitcoin. And that's all it says. But there's only 2 replies, and someone's got they should accept Nano/Railblocks XRB, no fees, instant transfer. And then the next reply is with a $30 plus transaction fee. That's an expensive ice cream. Like it's just immediately fills up with the shit coining and the FUD and just the world.
What is up with Nano A? Why does that keep coming back?
I don't know anything about it.
I had a friend I was talking to Bitcoin about, and he kept mentioning his other friend who's really into Nano and how much sense he makes. I just kind of gave up. So, all right. I don't know anything about Nano, but I'm sure it actually doesn't make a lot of sense if you look into it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, because sometimes you always come back to that Satoshi quote from like the Bitcoin talk forums, like, if you don't get it at this point, I don't have time to explain it to you.
Yeah, I quoted that to that group I mentioned before, that team I was with at work who just kept giving me shit, and I put that quote in the end of their little chat thread. I just couldn't get anywhere with them. Yeah, that quote is a classic one. It must be one of the most used quotes by Bitcoiners.
So
I actually was. I had a coffee with a woman at work today, and I talked to her a lot about Bitcoin before. Hadn't seen her for a while, and she was sort of like, "Oh, how's all the Bitcoin thing going?" You know, and we were sort of talking all about that. And she actually asked me a few questions, and I explained the scarcity of supply. Like she was asking, oh, she'd asked if I'd run a miner. I said, "Yeah, we've got a couple. We're running a miner," and she was like, "Oh, so how does that actually work?" And so I was explaining like how you try and win the Bitcoin every 10 minutes and explain that process. And then I'd been giving them shit because they were all Air New Zealand stockholders, and they were all on their chat at work when that offer came out a while back where the CEO announced a new share offering, and they were all like, "Oh, we can buy them at half price," and blah blah blah. And I was giving them shit at the time, and they didn't really understand why I was giving them shit. But after I explained to her about the diminishing supply and the halving, and then that there'd only be 21 million Bitcoin, I was then able to join those dots. And I was like, see, that's why I was giving you guys shit about that Air New Zealand share offering. And I asked you that question. If you choose not to buy any of these shares, then you will own a smaller percentage of Air New Zealand than you owned before. So you kind of have to buy them if you want to maintain that percentage of ownership in that company. And I was like, and I got to join those dots back together after all this time today. And she finally got there. And I was like, so I said, I own, the amount of Bitcoin I own is a percentage of all Bitcoin that there will ever be. And that cannot change. Nobody can come along and decide that they're going to issue some extra Bitcoin on top of that 21 million. So like, that's what I was talking about. And you guys were laughing at me about that assurity of your supply, that you know how much you've got. You know how much value you own. Like, it was cool to see that penny finally drop with her today.
That is fantastic.
Yeah. And she's given me so much shit about Bitcoin. Just like, it's funny. Like they were giving me shit with the cult memes ridiculously, as if I was just like spouting some kind of cult. And that was the great irony, because I was like, if you need to compare this to a cult, your Air New Zealand share offering is far closer. You're listening to the CEO tell you to buy shares and issuing new shares, and you're like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, there ain't no cult leader in Bitcoin. There's nobody issuing anything personally. Like, it's just that is closer if you must compare.
At least it is better than buying meme tokens, though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, she ain't shitcoining, to her credit. There's no Doge going on. Although she said to me, "Oh, what shares do you think I should buy?" This was ages ago now, and she was getting into sharesies, and I was like, "Look, I don't know about shares. I'm just into Bitcoin. So if I had to suggest some shares, I'd go with MicroStrategies." And she was like, "Oh, MicroStrategies. Oh yeah, I'll put $10 into that." And she did it. And then then there was a bit of a crash, and MicroStrategies went down. She was like, "That MicroStrategies didn't work out. I sold that shit and took a bath." And I was like, "Man, it's only been a month. Like, what game are you playing?" Like, and there was only a few months later, and MicroStrategies is way back up, way over the level what she bought at. I was like, "Man, what are you doing?"
Yeah, that's the gambling. I mean, I used to trade and stuff, like try and read the charts, but Bitcoin just makes it so much more simpler. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a sure thing now.
Had that moment quite a few times actually when I'm thinking about ways to diversify and that and buy some shares or something, and then eventually catch myself and thinking, hang on, how can I justify this purchase over more Bitcoin? Like, what am I actually trying to achieve here?
Yeah. Yeah, I just pour everything I can into it now. I'm starting to wonder about KiwiSaver, just pouring that into it too.
Although I mean, I do think of like maybe writing a list, like, you know, when it's at 100K, like stuff that you could put aside. You know, yeah, like forms of value that could improve your life.
Yeah, for me it's land. That's one thing I would trade Bitcoin for eventually.
So start looking for a bit of land. You keep it. I mean, you keep an eye out on land.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Cool.
You've always got the, you know, the alerts and that sort of thing. I mean, I'm just not for a long way off, but got to have the long term plan, eh? Got to get the Citadel started at some point.
Yeah, that's right. The Citadel. That's how I see it too.
Yeah, I was thinking about that with like the energy conversion, the OTEC stuff, like oil rigs is supposedly a bit of a thing. That would be pretty hardcore. Or if not the oil rig, the floating ship, like you have a floating barge in the doldrums, like in the equator, you know, just mining Bitcoin with your pipes going down deep into the ocean using the temperature difference. Have a city out there.
See, I was more thinking Italian style, like castle on a hilltop.
Yeah, that Bitcoin Citadel's Twitter account, eh?
Oh, is that a thing? Might have to look that up.
Bitcoin Citadels, and they just I don't think any of them are actually Bitcoin Citadels, but they just constantly tweet out exactly that, like what you described, a castle on the hilltop or on an island or something like that. And it's every time you look at a picture, like, yeah, that'd be cool.
Property's cheap there in Italy. in Sicily and that. €1 for properties, plus about 10,000 in tax. You get yourself a nice wee house on the Mediterranean in the middle of nowhere. Probably won't have a roof or anything like that, but it's easily fixed.
It's the maintenance on the main. Run down.
Yeah, it's all built into the agreements apparently, is you got to be like fixing it up.
Yeah, it's a lot different in other countries. Like a mate was explaining recently that housing in Japan is deflationary. Like you'll pay a premium for a brand new house, and then the house will, perhaps not the land, but the house will lose value over time. And I'm not quite sure how that works, but he knows Japan really well, and he's not pulling my leg.
Oh, Japan's a bit weird, because they had a massive bubble in the early 90s, and their housing market's like only just recovered to the prices it was at then.
Is that right? Shit.
Yeah, well, when people talk about housing bubbles, they always refer to Japan and Ireland as the worst. And yeah, Japan was like in the early 90s, and it's taken them 30 years to recover.
And again, it's like completely like their economy is real bad right now, isn't it? So
yeah, well, they've got full yield curve control going. It's what will eventually happen here, I believe, or with the US dollar.
Yeah, I've heard they're sort of considered the canary in the coal mine because they led the way on quantitative easing. They were the first ones to really just roll it out full noise.
And the big difference is apparently Japan is a net exporter versus the US is a net importer, which is I'm no macro expert, but apparently that's one of the big differences that's going to make it all collapse.
Yeah, shit. There's certainly a lot of attention on how things are going there in the Bitcoin sort of circles, I've noticed. That's sort of people watching them closely to see how that yield curve control thing plays out.
I've been trying to follow that guy Mike Green and make sense of what he says, but can't for the life of me understand him. He's like a macro guy, and he's really well respected, and he seems quite reasonable in that. He's always like debates without like emotion, and he calls people out on their fallacies and stuff like that. But whenever he explains something, it just gets so technical. It goes straight over my head so fast. Hates
Green,
Bitcoin. Michael Green.
Michael Green.
His Twitter handle is like Professor Plum, like Prof Plum 99.
Oh yeah.
He's probably like, because I'm trying to like stay out of the echo chamber, and he's probably one of the smartest Bitcoin hater that I can find. But I just can't understand him.
Fantastic.
Oh, no.
Because you don't usually come across a real high-profile Bitcoin hater who you can't quickly figure out their agenda. But there's usually a self-serving reason on why they really want Bitcoin to fail. And you can usually quite quickly see that and make the connection. So I'm always interested in coming across people where that isn't obvious. And there aren't many, or I couldn't even name one right now, actually.
You'll find some probably some like Real Vision interviews and that with him. And he's always in the Twitter spaces, in the macro spaces, either speaking or just like in the audience.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the things that you'd find about him, or that I find interesting, is he seems like very reasonable. Like if someone ever comes at him with like an emotional argument or something like that, he'll call them out on it straight away and be like, look, nah, like we're doing this based on like reason and like this is what we're talking about kind of thing. You're coming at this from a very like emotional angle. So just kind of like come back to reality and join us here.
That's a real skill where you see it all the time. Like as soon as you come across someone like that, you do tend to gravitate towards them because you're like, man, how do they keep their cool that well and think so straight in those moments? It's actually a really difficult skill. I know I struggle with it. When I'm talking to somebody like one of those gotcha type people about Bitcoin, you know, I get a bit of motive and I start to lose my train of thought, trying to win the argument, you know. It's really difficult, eh?
Yeah, no, I've had the same thing. That's probably why I'm more interested in what he has to say too, to be honest. The other one that's real anti it and is quite interesting. Oh, I forget his name. He's a big gold guy. No,
God,
they do those. It's like Three Eyes Capital or something like that, and they own a bunch of mines and stuff in Africa, and they're pretty deluded though. Like they don't really understand it in terms of the grassroots movement. Like, you know, there's just like a lot of financial privilege. I'm rambling a bit.
No, sweet. I'm actually just looking at the screen. I'm looking at that Michael's page and stuff, and I've been noting down things that you've mentioned to look into as well.
Yeah, Prof Plum 99. It's very interesting to see him speak. When I was doing Real Vision, I caught him on there a few years ago, and I just couldn't understand him for the life of him. It's just like too technical. Like someone like Preston Pysh is way better to listen to because he actually like breaks down and you learn how the system works. But I don't know, maybe after a whole bunch of what's that guy? Gammon. Have you ever seen his videos?
Oh, is that somebody mentioned that name? Luke? No, different person.
The guy, he's on YouTube and he's like the guy with the whiteboard. He's like explaining economics, and he's always got like this whiteboard, and he's like, I'm going to explain this to you in 3 simple steps. You need to watch like hours and hours of him and then listen to Michael, I think. But it's too much like learning for me.
That Michael Green's picture, his avatar on Twitter, is that character off the Princess Bride movie. That cracks me up.
Yeah, it is, eh?
Yeah. My kids just watched that the other day. It's a crack up. That guy. Well, I might actually drop off, James, but were you keen to have one later in the week, like on Friday or something?
Yeah, bro. Friday works for me.
Yeah, I'll be quite keen because I reckon there's a few more people who jump in on that time just going by last Friday as well. Get a bit of chat going if those some of those Aussies come back as well.
Yeah, bro. Sweet. We'll sort it out.
Yeah, but cheers for the chat, guys. I just love talking Bitcoin, It's been awesome.
Anytime. Yeah.
Yeah, you too, same here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, sweet.
Thanks.
All right. Cheers, James. Cheers all. I'll see you guys next time.
See you later. Ciao.